Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Michael Pope. I own Audio Video Interiors located in the not so sunny Cleveland, Ohio area. And my co-presenter is Sean Hansen from Logic Integration in Colorado. I'll briefly give you a little bio on Sean. Sean has been in the industry for 17 years. Logic Integration was founded in 2003, and as I mentioned earlier, he's located in Colorado. Sean is a veteran in our industry. He's received numerous awards over the years, nationally recognized 2007 CEDIA Contractor of the Year, CE Pro's Best Overall Marketing to Consumers, Best Website, Best Vehicle Graphics. Company stands out with A+ ratings on Google, City Search, Yelp, and Denver Better Business Bureau, among others. He has a very good track record. Those of you that attend the CE Pro 100, he's been there many years, so I think you probably recognize him. He's very well publicized, so everybody should know that he does a lot of good quality work. And I bring this up mostly so that you know that you're talking to people that drink the same Kool-Aid as you do. I've been in the industry 30 years, as you can tell from all the gray hair. I'm not going to go into all these things. Just suffice it to say I have an incredibly talented staff. We've done a lot of really good installations over the years. I think my team's won over 30 national design awards. And again, sorry about that. Again, I'm not trying to promote ourselves personally. It's just to let you know that we both have been in the business a while, and we have a product that we've developed specifically for this industry, and we know very much about it. In 2009, just to give you a little background on why Integrator Dashboard was created, Sean, like many of us, probably was getting to the point where he's doing what I was calling hitting the wall, where you get to a point where you get so big that you can't quite keep your finger on everything, and things start to fall through the cracks. Your overhead costs start to creep up, and your efficiency starts to creep down, and it gets to be very uncomfortable. It's hard to get to the next level. And that's a fact that's really brought to bear if you look at some of the statistics out there in small businesses. I just happened to grab this statistic from a study that was done by University of Tennessee. It's kind of sobering. By year number 10, a full 71% of all businesses that have started have failed. That's kind of a staggering statistic. And in that same study, they gave 5 common reasons for this.
Oh my wow, that's kind of neat.
If everybody can mute their telephones while they're monitoring this part of the conversation, we'll be opening them up for questions later. But bear in mind you're on an open mic. Thank you. So the reasons that these small businesses have such a hard time and fail is, there's 5 of them they list there, but lack of clear focus, lack of market awareness, pride going into the business for the wrong reasons, burnout from too much work, bad advice from family and friends. I think if you look at a couple of those, they're kind of interrelated, and I think it goes back to a common problem. That's time. We run out of time to do everything, and we're so busy we don't have the focus that we need. We certainly don't have enough time to pay attention to market concerns. And I think burnout from too much work could be appropriate as well. So if time's the problem, what are some of the solutions after you've hit that wall and you can't keep your hand on anything, all the things that's slipping through the cracks? And then that's just a typical business. I happen to think, as much as I love our industry, I think we are in a challenging industry. We have to manage an installation schedule that, at least in my company, wants to change every day. Communicating with staff used to be really easy. Now it's very difficult with all the trucks on the road, and even with email, it's still a very difficult thing to keep control of everything. Just managing a fleet of vehicles, if you think about it, we spend all of our efforts trying to keep them on the road so they're billable, and somewhere along the line they got to get serviced, and you've got to keep track of when that truck was serviced versus that truck. So all these things kind of come into play. We can't forget about collecting money, but sometimes we're so busy things fall through the cracks, like work orders and change orders, and there's a surprising amount of billings that never even take place, and those are just places where we lose money. And let us not forget our salespeople. If you're not managing them, holding them accountable all the time, then they're kind of out of control. So I think the biggest thing that has to do with business is trying to stay focused, and that's the problem everybody runs into. And that's really kind of what drove Sean to really develop this product, and is what I think is why this product is so good, because it allows you to get your focus back. Even if we add systems, and I've added every one of these in my company, we have a good proposal software, we have an accounting software, we have a CRM software, we have an inventory solution. But my problem, and I'm sure that this is like many of yours, is that none of these things are connected. And I just don't have time. I'd say out of those 4 systems, I probably don't get in there and look at all of them in one given day. At least I didn't used to. And that's what this program's all about. It really enables us to have a dashboard on your screen that lets you tie everything together and keep an eye on the most important parts of running your business. It's something that's endorsed and developed by people just like you. It was developed specifically for the way that we operate as a business. Easy to operate. Unlike many programs out there, and even my proposal software is a good example. We implemented ours, but the cost to put it in and the time it takes to implement a software program typically is very prohibitive. Our software that we're using is very good. It's D-Tools. It's pretty well known in the industry. I remember when I bought it, I thought the price tag was pretty expensive for the software, but after months of implementation, I realized that the real cost involved was setting it up and getting all the products input, and then even the day-to-day constant upkeep. So a lot of times software is bought and never gets implemented, and these are the reasons. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, and as we just pointed out, that's something we don't have a lot of. The thing that we like about Integrator Dashboard is that it can completely be installed and up and running in 3 weeks. And this offering is actually done by somebody else, so this is something that you can make a decision on. You'll have to supply some information, but at the end of the day, it gets installed and up and running, and you get the benefit of it in a very short order. It's installed by trained professionals, and it lets you see all your vital statistics at one viewing, and get all kinds of information from not only yourself, but everybody in your team. So at this point, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to turn over control to Sean. He's actually going to go into his working dashboard on his company and really show you how this works.
Thanks, Michael. So I'm going to show you guys kind of a 10,000-foot view of how it works, and then a little bit of the in-depth stuff. I won't go into every single list and workflow and everything that we've come up with. It just simply takes too long. But after a while, you guys will get kind of a feel of how it works and what it does. And if you have any questions, yesterday we had a bunch of people on the webinar, and they were trying to ask verbally. I think it's best if you guys chat in the chat box below. And I have Jen Dodd next to me here physically, and she'll try to answer a lot of your questions as we go through here. So if everybody can see my screen, Michael, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is our home page, and this is a website that you log into. You can get to it from a laptop or a desktop, iPad, Droid, whatever device you have. It doesn't require a VPN connection. It's just a website, and it has a username and password for everybody at the company. And this is my homepage when I log in, and each person at our company's homepage looks different. And the reason why is we all want to see different information. So what I care about the installation schedule, how many work orders are open, and my sales funnel. And then we also have the company processes on the homepage for everybody, so that everybody knows what happens when a new lead comes in all the way to maintenance after a project's done. A salesperson might have their sales funnel and things they care about on the homepage. So this is all reconfigurable. So that's kind of what a homepage could look like for your company. It can be branded and colored accordingly to how your company looks. So So right now I'm live on our site, and the first thing that I have here is the installation schedule. So what we have here is our install schedule, and it's all color-coded by installer, or you can color-code it by team. So if you have a pre-wire team or a trim team or a finish team, programming team, etc., everything is on here, and you can go in and look at different appointments, and away you go from there. So that's our installation schedule. We'll kind of get into later how this ties into the customer. We also have a showroom schedule, or if you had multiple install teams, you guys could do different schedules for that. So this is our showroom schedule. We have our showroom is used a lot, and people book different rooms for different events, so we actually have a schedule for that. So I can go in here and see which salesperson booked the conference room and what areas they're going to be using until what time. So pretty self-explanatory. The SharePoint system is really customer-centric, so everything revolves around the customer. So if I go into a customer, I can click on the customer, see their name, address, email, and this gets entered as soon as we get the lead from Google or if they call in, and we'll go over how a lead's entered in later. But in the customer, you can have job photos, you can have IP addresses, passwords, garage codes, whatever you guys want to put in here, you can put in here. And I can see who created this customer and what date they entered it. So that's the customer database. We actually have a separate one for builders. So same exact thing. All our builders are in here. So Travis from RSI, I see that you're on here. So now you can see all our builders. Have at it.
Yeah. I'm taking notes as I go, Sean.
Yeah, take screenshots as fast as you can.
No, you can trust me on that. No worries.
I'm just messing with you. So that's our customer database. You can have as many as you need. So and then here's the sales department. So each list and section is organized by department, and you can have a design department, install department, yada yada. So in inventory, we've been playing around with the inventory stuff. We basically get the data from QuickBooks and we dump it into here. This is where our sales people know how much inventory there is and how many there are. Sales funnel. So this one's really important. We use this one a lot, and it's ever evolving. But I can go in, and this is on my snapshot page too, so I can see our sales funnel right when I log in. But I can go in to Bill here, and I can see that he has, 1,000,003 in bids out there, and his probability rate is 43%. The probability rate is entered by them. It's a best guess kind of a thing. But I can go into each lead and each job and see that CPB Santa Monica, where did we get the lead, is a commercial, residential, and I can see what the estimated project cost is and when we think we're going to close it. So every month I'll spit out a report from this about what's going to close in the next 30 days, and we've had this for 3 years now. It's pretty darn accurate. So this is our sales funnel, and then it goes down to each salesperson. When a job is closed, so if I go in here and I edit this job, as soon as he closes the job, he changes it to a sale. It emails our project manager, and it now enters into his world. So he can then schedule a meeting, go over the job, and then once it's on the install schedule, it can email the installers involved in that project, and then once it's scheduled, it can email the customer the day before we're going to be out there. So that's called a workflow, and it has specific processes that we create for each department. So that's a real broad view of what the sales funnel does. There's a lot of other things you can do. You can sort by the hottest, the hottest lead. You can sort by the longest lead that's been sitting out there. You can sort by dollar amount. You can sort by salesperson just by clicking the top here. So when we get a new customer, we have a phone leads list. So someone calls in, says, hey, I'd like a theater. You know, what do I do? Who do I talk to? So this is what happens when someone calls in. Whoever answers the phone reads the script. Good morning, thanks for calling Logic. She checks the box. Is this residential or commercial? Residential. And then immediately it's assigned to a salesperson. Can I get your name and number? And then you go down the list and the script. How did you hear from us? And this also creates reports on lead tracking, where we got our leads, all those things. And as soon as I hit save, it emails the salesperson right away. The salesperson can then hit accept in the email. He accepts the lead, and then it turns into a prospect. So you can kind of see the automation that's involved in this system. Once he meets with the client, makes a proposal, it becomes a prospect, and then it jumps into the sales funnel. And then once he closes the job, it goes to the project manager, as I said earlier. So the next section is a design order, and this is if a salesperson would like his or her job designed, you know, CAD drawings, all that stuff. So same thing here, you enter the name of the job. It's all customer-centric. So I'm going to go to the Smiths here. Smith Theater. Who's the sales rep? The sales rep puts his name in here. And when do I need the design by? Well, this customer is in a hurry. I need the design by tomorrow. And then, you know, whole theater design. How high of a priority is it? This is high priority. Who's the designer? Enter that here. What kind of customer is it? Before the salesperson hits save, he has to have made these 3 folders in our cloud folders. And as soon as I hit save, it puts it into the design queue for the designer. And he then has a screenshot on his desk that looks like this. So here on the left is his design schedule. On the right are all the open designs, and he can sort them by status, or he can, you know, sort them by priority, by due date. And then over here to the right, you can see how much of the designs are done. So the salesperson, instead of emailing and calling the designer every day saying, hey, when's my design done, they can see over here to the right, the Blessing residence is 90% done. So the salesperson will know, okay, that one's almost done. So this is what the designer sees on his desk when he logs in. So everybody's got their own custom login, which is really nice. And this is what I wanted for our company. That's how this started. I looked all over the place, tried all kinds of different softwares, spent a ton of money, and I still couldn't find what this did. And this is what I wanted. I wanted each person to know what was going on within their world and their responsibilities. So installers, we have the install department. And each installer on here has a picture. This guy here, that's not really his picture, it's kind of a joke. But every person at the company who's involved in SharePoint has their own photo. And the reason why is when they get an email, so here's an example email that a customer gets the day before their job is scheduled or when they get scheduled. It says, Dear Logic customer, we want to remind you that your installation has been scheduled on such and such date. And then it says, your installers will be, and then each picture of each installer is there. So this is just a sample. But you kind of get the idea. You know, the day before an install is done, they get an email. They also can click confirm, yes, that time does work for me, or they can decline it and request a new time. So that's what the email looks like. Project tasks is basically any open projects, things to be done, things like that. Work orders. We used to get a lot, well, we still do. We get a lot of work orders, but they used to fall through the cracks, and we had no way to track them. So now we have open work orders. Customer calls in and says, hey, my TV's busted. You know, can you guys fix it? This immediately gets entered We can pick the service manager here. If we need more than one guy, you can click it. TV fell off the wall. And how soon do you need this to be fixed? I'd like it done by the 14th. Who's responsible for this? You know, what's the name of the service guy? So you enter that here. Issue status, is this billable or is it under warranty? This is billable. You can enter the credit card here if you want them to prepay. And how high of a priority is it? Now once this gets entered, it gets an email sent off to the service manager. The service manager then schedules it, and then it emails the client. And then once all the work is done, it emails our office manager every Friday a summary of all work orders done, how much time was on them, and all the parts used. And here's what that email looks like. So every Friday, this is from the installer Ken, I can see all the jobs he went to and what he did. Everything that was done is crossed out in gray. So this is my email, which is the summary email, but the office person can have, you know, dollar amounts on their hours, all those kinds of things. The installation manager also gets an email like this of all the data that he wants. So if he wants it twice a week, once a week, whatever. That's how it works. So that's our work order list. I can go in and check any of these work orders. If a customer calls in and says, hey, you know, I don't know when my appointment is, what's going on with my stuff, anybody can hop in, click, and see any notes. Maintenance agreements. This year we sold about $150,000 in maintenance agreements. Last year we probably sold about 60, 70K, so we keep increasing our maintenance agreement revenue, which is awesome. However, we have been forgetting to do the maintenance agreements, and we have had a couple customers get mad. So we created workflows and lists to keep track of all of our maintenance agreements. So every time a salesperson sells one, they enter it in here, and they schedule it. So we actually have a maintenance agreement schedule. So here's how this works. You get the idea. Dish network, you know, conference room, who sold it, how often are we supposed to go out there? Twice a year. How many years did they buy? 3 years. Is it supposed to renew after 3 years? When was the install completed? So I can say it was completed on the 1st, so we know when the warranty was. When is their first maintenance agreement supposed to be? February 1st. Who's going to be in charge of this? You know, what installer was on the job? So you can kind of go down here, and then which customer is it for? So everything, once again, is centered around the customer. So there's this network. I can attach any type of file, PDFs, photos, anything in the job in this. I can attach them here. And then any special notes. You know, IT guy. And then here's the status. So when the installer is done, he clicks completed, and then it goes into the completed, so we know that it's done. So as soon as I hit save, it schedules it, puts it on the schedule here, and then 5 business days before their maintenance agreement appointment, it'll actually email the client, and it'll send an email out. Dear Mr. Customer, we'll be out on your site on February 10th. I'll go through the rest of these pretty quick, because you guys probably get the idea by now. This is our collections list. This is all exported from QuickBooks, and you can use any accounting software with Excel, and we just match the fields. These are all the open collections: who's paying, who hasn't paid, when the check's coming. That's what that's for. This keeps track of our company vehicles, any service that's done. Eventually, we'll have some bar graphs and other things on here that we're working on. Invoice request. Salesperson needs to invoice a customer. This is where they request it. Order request. This one's used a lot. one of the installers is out in the field, salesperson forgot to sell HDMIs for all the racks. This is where the installer does an order request. So I can say I need a part from Crestron. How much of a priority is it? And what job it's for? And who's requesting it? And then I can go in, is this part billable or not? Say yes. And why did we forget this? Salesperson forgot. How many HDMI cables do we need? 10. 3-foot Crestron HDMI cables. Dealer cost, the office person enters all this. How fast do I want it here? I need it now. Ship it overnight. As soon as I hit save, it emails the person who orders all this stuff. You can have it go out instantly. You can have it go out at the end of the day so she doesn't receive 12 emails for ordering. She gets one email with a summary. And that way, the office administrator is more efficient with their time. RMA tracker. How many of you have stuff sitting in your warehouse and you have no idea whether it's coming or going or who's fixing what, when it's going back to the client's house? This is what that's for. It keeps track of everything sitting on our RMA shelf. Who submitted it? Who's fixing it? Is it billable to the customer? Is it not billable to the customer? Any tracking information. So if a customer calls and says, hey, where's my busted subwoofer? You can click on it, track it right there. Time off tracker. If an employee wants to take a day off, vacation, it emails the manager hits approve, it approves it, and then it keeps track of it for accounting. Travel requests. We do a lot of out-of-state projects, so anybody going anywhere submits a travel request here. It asks where you're going, what you're doing, all the way down to what kind of bed you like and what kind of car you like. As we go down here, there's jobs in progress. That's my favorite one. I want to know what jobs are going on and when they're going to be done. And any closed projects from the sales funnel sitting here in the up-and-coming jobs. So that's kind of a snapshot view of our SharePoint and all the customization we've done. I'm going to turn it back over to Michael. And go through one last little PowerPoint thing. And you guys are welcome to call or email us with questions. I've got the chat window open here. Jen couldn't see it on her laptop, so I apologize. But I'll try to answer your questions as Michael's presenting here. Go ahead, Michael.
All right, thanks, Sean. We got this going here. All right, I'm going to go into a little bit of the return on investment and just some of the rationale behind going with SharePoint. So bear with me a little bit. SharePoint is a Microsoft-based software platform if you're not familiar with it. And these numbers might be dated, so this might even be a higher usage, but 78% of all Fortune 500 companies are using SharePoint. And between the years 2006 and 2011, they sold over 36.5 million licenses. I bring that up because we've all invested in software over the years. If you've been in business any length of time, you've probably invested in some that didn't make it. So I wanted to make sure you understood that we chose one that's very robust and not likely to go away anytime real soon. Some of the reasons why small companies don't use SharePoint, the biggest one is the cost. A typical deployment, such as an Integrator Dashboard solution, could easily cost between $50,000 and $100,000 or more, and that's why we don't see it used too much in our space. And because of that, for most of us, SharePoint's not even on our radar. We don't even know it exists, or we're not that familiar with it. Sean and Logic Integration have spent 3.5 years in development of this solution, and it's tailor-made for the custom integrator business model. And although there's always some risk, the risk is greatly minimized. First of all, we're not dealing with a software that was developed by an independent small company that's undercapitalized, and we've probably all worked with a few of those, where if they went out of business or got hit by a train tomorrow, all of a sudden the software development stops. The thing about SharePoint and the thing about Integrator Dashboard is that you can customize the software anytime you want, whether you have our support or not. You can find SharePoint specialists in any major city of the world, and you can take what you have. It'll work from the time we implement it, but you can customize it and you can keep working with it whether we're around or not. So it's a very dependable platform to work off of. And when we look at where profit comes from, it really comes in two forms, mostly anyway. Increasing revenues is one way to get more profit, and also getting better efficiency. And a lot of times that means reducing your cost factor. I wanted to point out, just so you have an idea of how effective this software has been, Logic integration went from $220,000 per full-time employee, that's revenue, to $265,000 in revenue in 2 years. First thing I want to say is $220,000 of revenue per full-time employee is a really good number. So this wasn't somebody who was already really inefficient and put the software in place and had dramatic increases, because it's kind of like weight loss. That first few pounds comes off pretty fast. It's the last 5 that kill you. So this was a company that was already, in my estimation, a very well-run company at $220,000 in revenue per full-time employee. But in the 2 years that he last used this process, and part of that time he was developing it as he went, he increased it to $265,000, and that's a remarkable number. $4.5 million of revenue with 17 employees. So what he really did there was he had the equivalent of increasing $765,000 of revenue without adding an additional employee. So when you think in terms of your return on investment, you've got the cost of the software, but in this case, as you'll see, it's not the cost of the software, it's how much money it'll save you over the next few years and beyond. And the other thing I think it really helps is better customer satisfaction, which also drives sales, because if you're not keeping customers satisfied, you're not getting referrals, and we all know this. Fewer details fall through the cracks. I think you could easily see how an integrated system like Sean just showed you keeps everything moving with minimal person contact, and it allows you to keep on top of all the things that normally get us. Service calls, orders, RMAs, job tasks. Sometimes it's a big challenge while you're on the phone with the client the first time to even schedule them, even for a service call. So that means you have to hang up, talk to somebody, get on the phone, call them back. Very inefficient, and it's not the best customer service either. So I think you can see how something like this, where you can instantly schedule things, is really important. Sales funnel. Just being able to look at a glance and know what your pipeline number is for the whole company or by salesperson is tremendous in helping you forecast your cash for the next month. And if your pipeline starts shrinking, then you know that you got a problem coming. And communication, I think, is probably the biggest thing that this software program does for you. I think all of us are familiar with the endless email chains. We thought email was such a great addition to our world because now people can quickly send messages back and forth. But at a certain point, when you've gotten 20 emails from 10 different people, you can't keep track of them either. And so it's a very difficult process. Having real-time information accessed from anywhere with an iPad or a smartphone in the field, so anybody in your company can access this information. You don't need a VPN. Your technicians who are out in the field don't have to call in and ask someone to go to the file room and pull a file and look something up. They can access all this information right from their iPad. We talked about how this program works. A couple things you have to do to get started. Since it is a SharePoint product, it works on a kind of a standalone cloud-based model that's built by the user. There's a couple ways to do it, and all these things will get figured out, and there's plenty of people to help you do it. But in general, you have kind of two flavors of SharePoint. You have a $4 a month per user, where you can see all the docs online, but you can't edit docs. And you have an $8 per month per user, where you can see all the docs, and you can also edit them. So if you just go strictly with SharePoint, those are the kind of the choices that you have. It's all done in the cloud. You can also look at an Office 365 plan, and some of you may already have that. And with Office 365, your Office software is worked out of the cloud, and you may or may not have copies on your desktops. And those plans run from $8 to $22 a month per user. Planet Technologies is our partner in this, who's doing the installations for Integrator Dashboard, and they will help you pick the right plan for you. And if 365 is one of the plans you want to look at, they can help you look at the 4 different plans they have. They can also help you implement it, because there is a conversion process if you're not currently doing that. And if you do choose the 365 route, your SharePoint fee is included in that, so you don't have to do both. It's one or the other. So your investment. Integrator Dashboard, the templates, the standard package, our standard price on that is going to be $34,950. Since we're bringing this to the market, we're going to do a special for the first 10 integrators who order this process, and you'll save $5,000. So the initial investment is $29,950. I know everybody's going, wow, that's a lot of money. Let me continue further, and I'll show you how that'll pay off in months. One thing that we recommend, although it is optional, but I would highly recommend it, is to buy a block of training support time from Planet Technologies. 20 hours would be an additional $3,000. So our recommended package, if you're one of the first 10 people, would be $32,950. And that would get you the complete implementation. You will have to supply some information, but it'll all be input, it'll all be set up, it'll all be tested. You can customize it, and Planet Technologies will step you through the entire process, tell you what's included and what you can customize, and you would pay a little extra for that. Now, for those of you that think that the $32,950 is going to be a problem, we're also setting up a lease-to-own package where it's basically a 2 to 5 year lease with a $1 buyout. That plan is going to run between $705.79 to $1,593.07, give or take, a month, depending on how far you want to stretch that out. Of course, you're going to place some interest on that, but think about it this way. For the cost of about 7 billable hours a month, you could instantly start saving a lot of money. I would venture to say that if you took the 5-year lease plan and purchased that software within a few short months, you would actually start positively cash flowing the other way because you're saving that money. You'll certainly save much more than the interest it costs to lease it. So just another way to do it. Cash is always cheaper, but if you want to lease to own it, and there may be some tax write-offs that way, you have to talk to your accountant, but there are a couple ways to do that. What's included in the package? Setup includes installing and validating the functionality of all the solutions, adding the users to the groups, so those are the list you'll give us. Basic user training, so we're going to recommend that we train at least 2 people from each company to do basic changes and additions. And one of the best things we should point out about SharePoint is that it does not really require a third-party person to administrate the day-to-day activities to run your company. Sean does all with his staff. It's not that hard to do once you get it set up. The hard part about SharePoint is doing the stuff that Sean has set up there to set up the workflows and get the templates made. Once it's up and running, you have a working system that's on a common platform, and it's very easy to administer. If you want to do something customizable on it that's a little more intense, then you would hire somebody like Planet Technologies, and they could customize it and make it work for you. So it's a very, very user-friendly, very easy to adapt. You can even configure the dashboard that you see on your computer based on the person who's looking at it. So a CEO may have one dashboard, and a product manager or a project manager may have a different one. So that part's completely customizable. Up to 8 hours of customization on the workflows, lists, and views. In our estimation, unless your business is radically different than Sean or mine, we've probably got 95% of the heavy lifting already done in these templates. I think what you saw there, you could easily see would work in most of our businesses. So there shouldn't be a lot of customization, but if you do, that's what this program's for. You can do it. You'll get assistance with importing existing data. So we'll show you how to do all that, how to get stuff out of your QuickBooks or your accounting software and your proposal software that populates the SharePoint list. You'll get to process up to 10 lists that you use for your automation, email alerts, and online calendars, and then your custom homepage setup. If you want more detailed information after this webinar is over, certainly you can email Sean and I with questions. You can also go on our website, which is www.integratordashboard.com, and there is a recording of the webinar. There's detailed pricing information and different screenshots available to look at. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Sean, and we're going to open up the floor to questions. And I thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I mean, some of you, you can call or email us directly. Maybe you don't want to ask questions on the chat, so you're welcome to do that. If you guys want, you can look at some of the chat history. There's some really good questions, very similar questions to yesterday. We can use the existing Exchange server that you have. That's what I'm on here at our company. We have Exchange, and we're hosting it ourselves. So you can go that route. Next year, we are going to be moving to the cloud. We've moved a lot of things to the cloud except for this one spot. We just haven't had time to move it. It's worth it. It's secure. It's a lot less headaches for IT nightmares. So Stella's asking, what databases are you pulling besides QuickBooks? We're actually pulling exported data, so customer lists, any updated customer information, our AP, AR type lists, and those are just Excel spreadsheets with matched columns. So that's what we're doing. As you know, DTools already talks to QuickBooks, and there is a little bit of information out there with QuickBooks working with SharePoint. Planet Technologies, who did all our stuff, they actually have 125 employees. They're a good firm. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be doing all the back-end stuff for those of you who want to implement this. And we are working with them on getting QuickBooks to talk to SharePoint. We're basically trying to get enough dealers together to do this so that we can do that. And as you can see, it would be a huge and powerful tool to have all that integrated. We are doing our proposals in DTools right now, like a lot of you. So let's see here.
Sean, if I could elaborate on one point, this is Michael.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things we're doing, I just want to make sure everybody gets a head up on, is that one of the reasons we're talking to the CE Pro 100 group is that our hope is that we will form a kind of an elite user group where we can, as we put these Integrator Dashboard systems together, we have an opportunity to share best practices, and as a group, we have the ability to take the best practices that we find out there and redevelop updates to this program that we all benefit from, and to use it as a way to build a system that normally any company our size could never do on our own, but as a group and taking best practices, it gives us the opportunity down the road to get better and keep working together, not only from the networking standpoint that always comes when you talk to other companies like ours, but just as a way to get our dashboards really tweaked and really running really smoothly. I think Sean has a well-run company. I think I do, but I think that everybody that's probably monitoring this call has things that they do better than I do or better than Sean does, and as we grow this group together, we're going to redevelop this program to make it even a better product for everybody. So that's kind of the long goal. And integrating accounting and proposal software is certainly the next phases that we're really looking at, because that's what really ties everything together. So I just wanted to kind of give you the broad picture of where we're headed with this, because that question came up a few times yesterday. All right. Sorry, Sean. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's a good point. So, yeah, if anybody else has any questions that they want to talk about live on the webinar, you guys can ask them now. Unmute your phones. If not, you're welcome to call us directly. If you say go and you want to do it, just shoot us an email. We can send you the pricing and the forms, and we'll send you out a bunch more information and how it works and how you get started. But it is not a long, drawn-out process. Mine was 3.5 years, so it definitely won't be that long. Do you guys have any questions for Jen Dodd, who's actually the, kind of the behind-the-scenes programmer, if you want to call her that you want to ask while she's here?
I saw that there were some questions about whether or not you get SharePoint Online or Office 365. It does get kind of confusing, and we've got some links that you can go out onto the Microsoft site and look at. But your lowest cost entry point to get a dashboard, Integrator Dashboard, is to sign up for a SharePoint Online account. It's about $4 per month per user. They have an upgraded version, which actually is required for some of the features and functionalities that were listed, like dashboards for different users and that kind of stuff, for $8 a month per user. The Office 365 we're just throwing out there because SharePoint Online is actually part of a larger suite of cloud services that Microsoft offers, which includes Exchange and Lync Online. Lync gives you the ability to do instant messaging and conferencing, and Exchange, obviously, the benefit there is you not having to have Exchange on site and have to manage that and maintain it and deal with it when it goes down. Microsoft handles all of that. So if you purchase SharePoint as part of the Office 365 suite, obviously it's a little bit less expensive, but if you think about the amount of effort that you guys put into managing your own Exchange server, it might be beneficial to a few of you that maybe are on an old version of Exchange and are thinking of upgrading, or if you're on just a regular public mail server and you want to have more of a private email server.
All right, everybody. Well, I think that's it. Call or email if you have any questions, and we can send you more details and pricing and things like that. We have one more webinar tomorrow, and then that'll be it unless people are requesting an additional one. So thanks, everybody, for your time. Let us know if you need any help.